Are you skipping breakfast and wondering what effect it might be having on you? Or are you thinking about skipping breakfast and wondering if it's a good idea? Watch this video and I'll take you through the benefits and drawbacks of having breakfast. Hi, it's Ivana helping you get fit, healthy, and strong. If you're new, please do subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be notified when I release a new video every week. Today we're going to talk about breakfast. Is it really the most important meal of the day? I'm an online nutrition coach specializing in fad-free nutrition advice, evidence-based, logical, practical information that can help you change your relationship with food permanently. As with all my nutrition advice, it's all very individualized. So there is no perfect diet that works for everyone. Certain things work for certain people and they don't work for others. So today I'm going to help you find out whether breakfast is right for you. And make sure you watch to the end because I'll tell you the specific advice I give to my online coaching clients about breakfast. Is breakfast really the most important meal of the day? Kind of hard to say. Overall, the body of research does tell us that people who eat breakfast are more likely to be of a healthy weight and maintain their weight loss over time than people who skip breakfast. But that doesn't entirely mean that just skipping breakfast will automatically mean that you're destined to be overweight. If you make a plan that allows you to maintain the same amount of calories over the course of the day as someone who eats breakfast, then it won't make any difference whether you eat that breakfast or not. Weight loss and weight maintenance really comes down to how many calories you eat over the course of the day. So if you're looking to lose weight, you need to produce a calorie deficit. And how you produce that calorie deficit doesn't really matter whether you have breakfast or not. What matters is the entire day's worth of calories. But here's where it gets very interesting. You need to ask yourself a few questions to know if breakfast is right for you. How does eating in the morning affect you? That's the first one. So if you're the kind of person, if you skip breakfast, you feel totally fine, you're energized, you're able to focus, you feel great. Later on in the day, you might have a balanced lunch and then you have a decent dinner, you maintain your weight, you feel good, energized, and great. That means you don't really need breakfast, do you? On the other hand, if you're one of these people who skips breakfast and then you're famished by about 10 o'clock and you have a humongous muffin or some cookies, anything to try to get your energy levels up, if you feel really tired by midday and you're really struggling to get through the day, then skipping breakfast isn't a great idea for you. So as I said at the beginning, it's very individual. Not everybody experiences the same effect when they skip breakfast. I want to throw in a little bit of a caution here too though. If you eat too many carbs in the morning, you may actually have cravings for carbs later on in the day. So what you have for breakfast, if you are having breakfast, makes a big difference. I'm going to go into that a little bit later when I talk about the advice that I give for my clients. But bear in mind that what you eat first thing in the morning may very well affect your behavior later in the day. You may have a big insulin surge, and then your blood sugar levels will drop, and all of a sudden you'll be very hungry, you might be tired, you might feel lightheaded, and then you're gonna want more food. And if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're just trying to feel good, that's not great for you. So bear in mind that having a lot of carbs in the morning isn't necessarily a healthy choice. It's actually a bit of a myth that we need a lot of carbs to kind of get our energy levels up in the morning. We don't. Some people need a little bit more carbs in the morning, particularly people who are slim and very sensitive to insulin. If you know that you're a little on the overweight side, you're carrying some extra weight, then you're less likely to be sensitive to insulin. So you need to be a bit more careful with your carbs, particularly in the morning, because they affect what you're doing for the rest of the day. Just skipping breakfast though doesn't automatically mean that you're going to reduce your calories, especially if, like I mentioned before, it's affecting your behavior and you end up over-consuming calories later in the day. So what about intermittent fasting? Well, this is a planned dietary approach where you're having a longer period without eating. So it generally means that you're skipping breakfast and not eating until noon. I do have an article on my website, ivanachapman.com, going through intermittent fasting if that's something that you're interested in. So I go through all the types, who it benefits, who it's not so good for. I'm going to include the link in the comments below so that you can have a look at that if you're interested. The difference with intermittent fasting tends to be that it's more planned than someone just kind of skipping breakfast because they're in a rush and then grabbing a donut later on. It's more strategic, and intermittent fasters tend to make sure that they're having enough protein over the course of the day. They make sure they're getting enough vegetables and fiber. And as long as you're doing that, then intermittent fasting can certainly be helpful. I've actually had a client who inadvertently found herself intermittent fasting, but it didn't help her lose weight. She was missing breakfast because she was just so busy, but later on in the day she consumed more calories, so it didn't really help. Essentially, it comes down to what I started with at the beginning of the video. What you eat over the course of the day is what affects your weight loss and your health. So the total number of calories is what's important. Whether or not you have breakfast or don't doesn't really matter in terms of your success with weight loss. And there isn't really any good evidence that it causes a lot of issue or anything like that, that you're going to have health issues just because you're missing breakfast. If you're eating well for the rest of the day, and as we said before, if you feel good, you're energetic, you're at a healthy weight, then just the absence of breakfast is not going to cause you a health issue. And now I'm going to share the tip that I give my online coaching clients about breakfast, and it is treat breakfast like any other meal. Most of the breakfast choices that we have, let's say eggs, toast, waffles, pancakes, muffins, danishes, sausages. Now, based on those traditional breakfast foods, not a lot of them are great options, and a lot of them are overly processed, refined carbs, which we want to limit in our diets. So don't feel that you need to stick to traditional breakfast foods. These things are cultural anyway. If you're watching this from a different country, you might tell me that this is not what you have for breakfast. I know in some Asian countries they have fish and rice, for instance. So it's all a cultural thing rather than a physical necessity in the morning. So treat breakfast like any other meal. And that really means make sure to have your protein, at least 25 grams for most people, a moderate amount of fat to increase your satiety so that you feel full afterwards. You want to have some fiber because over the course of the day you need to have a certain amount of fiber, and you want to have some of that in the morning if you possibly can, just to get it out of the way. And then include the right amount of carbs for you. So if you're highly active, very lean, trying to put on muscle, you'll probably want to have more carbs. If you're not that active and you're looking to lose some weight, then you want to have fewer carbs in general. So that's how I plan every meal, and that's how I tell my clients to plan their meals. So it doesn't have so much to do with what time of day it is. Let me know in the comments what you like to have for breakfast. It might seem strange, but I have often had leftovers from the night before. So whatever that meal was that I had that night, so maybe chicken breast and sweet potato and some vegetables, and I've often had that for breakfast the next day because it's quick, it's easy, and you get used to these things eventually. It seems strange at first to eat those types of food in the morning, and if you treat it like any other meal, you realize that it's just getting used to this stuff. It's just about changing your habits. The other thing that I often suggest to my clients is just to take whatever leftovers you have, whatever protein and veggies, and then throw that into an egg scramble. And that's a great breakfast option. A lot of people enjoy that. You can have so many different flavors, and it is really quick and easy in the morning. I'm going to show you really quickly how to do this egg scramble for yourself. And the first thing you're going to do is just put a bit of oil on there on the frying pan. I'm using coconut oil here because I like the taste, and it handles a pretty high temperature, but you can use olive oil if you like, or butter or anything like that. So you're just going to wait for that to heat up a little bit. I'm going to show you what I've got here in my fridge. So these are leftovers from the night before. This is, I've got some roasted zucchini and broccoli, and we're going to put that out there ready. And then I've also got a little bit of, it's chicken breast, and then there was some lentil pasta there as well, so it's higher in protein as well. So that's the protein section of it that I want to add on. And then, of course, I've got the eggs. So that's the main part of our egg scramble here. I'm just going to put those out while the oil heats up. Just want to make sure that it's at the right temperature. Just somehow managed to crack that egg correctly. In this case, I'm going to have 2 eggs, and I'm going to add on an extra egg white. But I mean, you can do whatever you want. If you want to have 3 eggs in there, if you just want to do 1 egg and then extra egg whites, depending on how much protein you want compared to fat in your egg scramble. So I might have let the eggs get a little bit ahead of themselves. So normally you just want them a little bit lightly done, and then you're going to throw in the vegetables and the additional protein that you want to add on. And then you're going to mix it up, trying to get everything together. As I said, I probably, because I was filming, I let them get a little bit too cooked. Normally you want this to blend a little bit more evenly. But that's really all it is, just enough to heat up all the vegetables and the protein, and everything comes together. So I hope I've helped you determine if breakfast is good for you. Head on over to my website, ivanachapman.com, where you can pick up a copy of my free ebook. And if you're new, like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. See you next week.